We're very pleased to welcome the next security professional of the future, Nicolas Boeckh, Research and Education Assistant at the University of Geneva and founder of the Dovecon for Rookies. We're very pleased to have you on. We're trying to do a step change. We're trying to think of something new. And I want to say that new thing is you. We're looking at the skills that the next professional will bring through. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, thanks, Pelham, for inviting me. Um, so a little bit more about myself. It's actually quite complex and there's a lot to it. So I'm, first of all, a academic. So I've spent a certain time in academia. I'm currently at the University of Geneva, also as a student, but also as a research and education assistant. I've been in a few endeavors, such as open source projects, and a few communities which I've helped either progress or build up. That's pretty much the download on me.
Okay, perfect. I like it. And in our search for the MSS of tomorrow, we've talked a lot about the skill set. So, you might remember we had a great presentation from Vladimir a bit earlier on from Group IB talking about the SOC of the future. One of the problems was you've got to make it interesting for these SOC analysts. Now, it's not the only job in cyber, but it's an example. And if we do automate a great many roles, then how do you enter at a senior level? I mean, maybe you should. Maybe that's that's what makes the professional of tomorrow tick. I guess I wanted to be, I wanted to ask, where do you think that your generation is going to have an advantage over the established people? I mean, obviously that's almost sacrilegious in some countries of the world, but not naming any names. But yes, where do you think you'd be more flexible, for example?
Well, one of the more important things of our industry, or of cybersecurity in general, is that it's gotten very, very large. It's a very large domain. We go from, managed security services, but we go all the way to penetration testing. We go to, to a lot of domains, right? And the thing is, where you have a lot of domains, you need a lot of skill sets to complement those domains. And where our generation kind of comes up is where we've had the opportunity of learning elements of those domains while we were, getting educated or just learning for the job. And that's one of the advantages we've had, but also in our approach to learning, in our approach to eventually getting a job, in our approach to building ourselves up, we've encountered a lot of failure points. For example, let's say you are a frequent user of a penetration testing platforms such as Hack the Box or Track Me or whatever. Well, at some points you are going to fail, and failing is perfectly normal in our day and age. You can fail at a small thing, you can fail at a big thing, and it shouldn't hinder you in your approach to cybersecurity and your approach to getting forward in life. And we have let's say, a closer relationship to failure than, let's say, our predecessors.
I like that. Yes, and I think each generation sort of looks back on the previous one and says, "Oh, you don't have the same things as me, so that's nothing new, right?" And oh, you don't understand it. The older generation says, "Oh, you have it easy." The younger one says, "Yes, but you had a job." And that's nothing new. But what I think is new is this flexible approach and appetite for failure. And maybe people talk about Generation Z getting loads of participation trophies. Maybe that happens, maybe, but they also get lots of rejections. So, if you're looking for resilient people, perhaps that's good. Do you think that the baseline standard of your skills is so high because everyone else is already in the game, whereas when a Gen Xer, entered this field, everything was brand new?
I wouldn't say that our baseline of skills is entirely high. Say it's let's say more elevated than what it would be for a Gen Xer way back then, uh, but it is definitely broader. We've had to touch a lot more subjects in order to get familiar with them, in order to have a better chance of eventually scoring a job or just interacting with the community in a way that, an exchange of knowledge can be done accurately.
Okay, so should the incumbents, right? Should the CISOs of today, should they be afraid of your generation? I say this because there are some people in position. You say cyber is a broad profession. It is broad, but there are clearly, and look, I'm an outsider looking in, so sometimes even I have to speak up and say something's going wrong. There are clearly some people who have not got technical expertise and are in positions of technical leadership. It happens, right? Do you think that the way you've been taught and your generation of people are going to sweep all that aside and expose it as naked? Is that even possible?
Well, as with any company, of course, you would need to climb through the ranks, right? So you would need to prove to the company that you are valuable or have, a value that then makes them legitimate for a leadership position. Now, of course, for positions such as a CISO or Chief Data Protection Officer or other roles of the sort, you would assume that the people that are in those roles have some knowledge of what goes on in information security, with regards to data protection, etc. So that is an important baseline that you would assume people would have, except the people that are very good at their job, that which you would assume would be perfect for leadership positions, are perfect where they are. So you would eventually get them through their junior level to their senior level, but you would rarely bump them up to executive because they are doing their best work where they are currently. Whereas if you're moving them over to an executive position, they have less time and can become less invested in the nitty gritty of, their profession and their speciality. So
I know, I like that,
or,
and then we talk in English. We talk about it as the Peter principle. Someone gets elevated to just the one level beyond their level of competence, which you know, tricky. But I wanted to include things like this in this MSS forum because when we just band about skills, you do have visions of people just going on endless Excel courses, which it's not quite what we need for cyber. But with your other hat, you're the founder of DoverCon for Digital Overdose Con for rookies. Can you tell us a bit about why you put that on and felt the need to put that together anyway?
So just point of order, I'm co-founder.
Oh yes, co-founder.
There,
Yes.
yeah, I did it with someone else. So Eden Struit from the Netherlands. Um, but why we did it is not that it's nothing new. There have been conferences since a few years now. We've had B-sides, we have DEF CON, which has been going on. I think we're at our 30th or 29th iteration now. And the idea of doing conferences with rookie tracks is also not, let's say, new. We've had a few interesting ones. For example, a group called the Beer Farmers organized BeerCon, and BeerCon 2 was focused only on rookies. Now, of course, the name BeerCon could be a little bit confusing, especially to the outside onlooker, but it was an information security or tech-oriented conference. So we were doing nothing new, but what we were doing is we were giving yet another platform for only rookies to be able to express themselves and also give their first talk, get some visibility, and also get, let's say, a baseline skill set in presenting themselves via mentoring. And having this extra platform, which is international, which is virtual, it started off because of COVID, this whole concept of virtual conferences. or at least it gained a lot of acceleration. And whereas a lot of conferences are now going back down to the local level, remaining international allows us to then have a lot of people from various backgrounds come in and pitch their vision and their skill set with something that other people might actually not be aware of. And the time they spend preparing their talks or preparing their, let's say, nugget of knowledge they want to share with the world is usually way greater than the time that, let's say, main track conference speakers from the last 20 years have been putting out, because they've been spending a lot of time refining every single thing, passing it in front of mentors, building it up, and then showing us the finished product. And that really, at some point, puts forward the value of rookies, because even if they don't know something, only know portions of something, they're really going to go to the end of it. They're going to dig deep and build something fantastic. And that's something I've seen in conferences around the world now, and rookie-oriented conferences more than others.
And I did notice that at the Digital Overdose Con, they put so much effort into each presentation. It was fantastic, and the way in which it becomes accessible for all genres, I think, is a win-win. So, I guess you've mentioned the globalization of these events, and I myself, I think we will keep virtual conferences, and we will do some physical ones, but for a different purpose. We'll do physical ones to lay on a drinks reception. Vitamin B in Germany is done a little bit differently to vitamin B in the UK. Right? It's done a bit differently, but we can make sure that gets off the ground. What would your advice be to rookies to get employed? I know it's not fun, it's not easy, but what would your advice be?
So this goes by multiple facets. The first one is not necessarily obligatory, but it is very important, is networking. Is even if you don't necessarily know people, just to be active in, let's say, the Twitter sphere or the LinkedIn sphere of information security, because knowing people sometimes lands you a job. So that's pretty important. The second point is to volunteer, which also goes to networking, but volunteer at events, conferences, show that you're dependable. So of course you might lose a weekend or a weekend every year, or 2 weekends every year, but volunteering really, first of all, gets you in a group mindset. You're doing something for someone else, and you're doing it with other people from your, let's say, industry. And then you also meet them, network with them, of course. Then it's also building up your skill set iteratively. Like, no one can learn everything there is to know about information security from the beginning. Some people are going to specialize in cryptography. Some people are going to specialize in penetration testing. Some of them are going to specialize in secure software development. Some of them are going to be specialized in DevOps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all of this, you can't really start branching out from the start. You need to specialize in something, go to the end of that, eventually branch out discreetly into various things, and then build up your portfolio of knowledge. That all of those things kind of come together to making, let's say, a rookie shine, or having a rookie's CV shine in front of a recruiter. Additionally, having, let's say, a certain level of social interactability, that is always good. I mean, often the common, let's say, a view of computer experts or information security experts, or everyone else, is that they're nerds. They wear glasses. They have a D20s dice on their on their desks. Their desks are messy. I'm not showing you my desk, but that's a common view. But there is also a very big aspect of being able to communicate with people. Being able to sell yourself is one part of that, but being able to work in a team and not step on everyone's feet, not build up a massive ego to crush everyone else is a very important point. Some people get lost in ego trips, and that hurts everyone involved. So yeah.
Well, that is a great sentiment, and I think a great piece of advice to end our fireside chat on. And by the way, I discovered I also don't have a D20 dice, but Google will give it to you if you
Yes.
want it. I played Backdoors and Breaches or something like that with one of those. But I like this. Great advice. Let's keep the digital overdose crowd motivated, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you very much, Nicolas.
Thank you, Phil.